Hi guys, good evening and welcome to today's class. If you're currently on the live stream, you can go ahead and drop your message. Okay, I can already see messages in the chat. Then you can also go ahead and drop messages on the Discord, WhatsApp channel, as well as Telegram channel, so that others know that we have gone live and the class is ready to go. Um, we already have a instructor on the call, Hope Philip. She was here last week and she's here again. And I hope you enjoyed her class last week. And we're going for another session today. Yesterday was also her birthday, so you can do well to wish her a happy belated birthday because she's here now. Yeah, that's it. So I wouldn't take much of her time. I would like you to go on, Hope. Welcome, Hope. Thank you again for having us
Uh,
this week.
Okay. Hi guys. Good evening. Good evening everyone. Okay. Last week I was here. I know I was introducing you guys to JavaScript and JavaScript for React on all you need to know just to get started with React. I know I did that last week. We spoke about the structuring, we spoke about array methods, we spoke about objects, spoke about variables and the likes. I hope we are all clear on that because we'll be using most of these things today with React. I'll be introducing the team to React. Okay, first off, React is an open source JavaScript library that was developed by Facebook. So Facebook that we use today was actually developed by with React. It was written in React JS. So if you know how to write React, you can build Facebook. Yeah, and it's actually used for building web pages, web apps. Most of these applications you use, most of our websites, web application, web app, banking applications we use today, they were all developed with React JS, and it's basically used for building components um, in smaller chunks, and we just come together and incorporate all these components together, and these components now become these web pages that we use and are very functional and dynamic. Okay, just to get started with that, I'll be the one of the things you need. One of the things you would need. Let me share my screen. One of the things we would need to get started with React is for us to install Node.js, npm, and Git. I don't know if we are familiar with that, but I can just show you some things regarding that. Let me share my screen. Okay, let's go to the Node.js website. Yeah, I think I did that not too long. Node. Mhm. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Like I said, Node is a JavaScript runtime um open source application that actually allows us to run JavaScript on our local machine. When I mean local machine, our computer, our laptops. Yeah, it allows us to run JavaScript, or allows us to perform anything, the whole Java. If you notice, the last time we had the class, I used CodePen, and that was because I was not going to run that on my local machine. That CodePen code was actually that code was run on the live server, that's CodePen's server. Yeah, so but today we'll be working directly from our VS Code and we'll be coding directly. So for you to get started on your local machine, you have to start by installing Node. You have to start by installing Node. So you can just take note of this. I'm going to send most of this link after this call. After this, I'm going to attach the links that I'm going to be using for throughout this call. Um, so we start by installing Node. So you get to the Node website and you come here, you get Node. So there are two ways to install Node. You can either use your terminal. That's your terminal is like your local machine, like is a build point that was customized for every system. Every system has a terminal, whereby you can run this code, run all these things before on your local machine, just for you to get started with developing things and all that. So you start by installing this, you copy this, and then you just follow this whole development process. But the first step you will do is to just copy this. I think let me copy this. I already prepared for this class. So I don't know if this is okay. Yeah, this is my terminal. Let me do this. Okay, cool. Okay, let's just use it like this. So this is your terminal. You just have to hold on. Let me clear this. Can you guys see my screen? Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, so you just paste it on your terminal like this. So for let me explain how you get to your terminal for those that don't really know how to get that. So on every system, I actually use a Mac, but on every system you have your terminal. You can actually if you use a Mac, you can always see this terminal. I think with Windows, there's just a way through your settings. It's been a while I used the Mac, a Windows laptop. So, but yeah, you can always get that from here and your terminal. Yeah, so this is me opening my terminal now, and now you just paste this there, and it will just go ahead with the installation process. Or if you use a Windows, you can come here and just click on this, and you just click on this. This will just download the installer on your local on your laptop, and it just starts the whole develop. You just start your installation process. So when this is done, you can now check if for you to know if it's done. I think you'll see a series of code. It will just start running, and the whole thing will just install. For you to know if you successfully have Node installed, you just follow through this command. You can see here it says to verify the node version. Just check if that is installed. Let's copy this and just check. Let me do this here. So you can see mine is installed. I already work with that, so node is already installed on my local machine. I think the next one will be npm. um, npm means node package manager. npm basically helps us to add features. So we have applications, or we have building tools. So right now we know that React did not just come out yesterday. React has been here for a very long time, and people developers worldwide they've built tools and libraries. They've built tools that can just make our life easy, just helps us with developing faster. So npm is just a place whereby we it's just a tool we are going to be using to get these tools into our React project. I hope I'm clear on that. It's used to add animations. There are tools like, I think, animation form handlers, animation, motion, just different things, different built-in application, built-in libraries or tools that will just make our life easy. Let's take for example like a form. A form would include your first name, last name, and the likes. So there are tools that will help us run validations like checking if you're passing the required keys or required strings to those fields that are in your form. Yeah, so we have validation tools like that, and you can get those packages from your npm. So when you come here, this is the website. I think you just go to the documentation, and you would see how to get started with that. Yes, 1 minute. Click on get started. Yeah. Okay. Right now, it's saying we have to create, and I don't want to go ahead with creating um an account there. Let's go to installation process. Let's go to installation process. I think. Hold on. Okay, this is you setting up your npm. Let's go back to the main website. Sorry. npm. Okay. Um, hold on. There's a place for the installation. Okay, I think it's been a while I signed up for this, but I think maybe when you sign up, you would see the installation kit. It's similar to this. It just gives you a code where just have to paste it, and for you to also check your version, you just do the same. You do stuff like I think npm install, npm. You do stuff like this. You do this npm dash version. Okay, yeah, cool. So when you're done with the installation process and you want to check if that has been done, you will see something like this. I don't know why I think they updated their website. So yeah, you see a code like this and you just go through with the installation process and you now come here to check for the version. So when you check and you are able to get something like this, and I don't know if my version is the latest one, but because I've been developing for a while. Yeah, so you can just always check if it is installed, and when it's installed you get your version of the version that was actually installed in your local machine. I think the next thing we'll be talking about is git. I don't know, I think we should have known about git before learning react. Yeah, because I don't know what the curriculum is like, but git is like a prerequisite to um react, so you should be familiar with git before getting to react. So I want to believe everybody here knows what git means. Git is just like a place, it's like a tool, and we are using to store most of this our code, and it's just a way of, or it's a version control system that actually helps us with storing our code, helps us in working with working with teams. Let's say I want to work alongside all the front end engineers. Yeah, so we have like a git, like a place where we would collaborate, where we'll collaborate and work together, and I will share my code. So git is that tool that we use to push our code into a particular store. We have different version control system like GitHub, we have GitLab, we have Bitbucket, but Git is like the major. I would like to call it a language that we use in communicating between within our code base, just to push. I will explain as I go. But yeah, you just need to install Git, and same here if you want to check if Git is also installed on your system. You do Git, I think dash version. Let's try this. Oh, cool. So you can see I have Git installed. Let's go to the Git, um, not GitHub itself. Let's do Git installation. Okay. So let's go to Git here. So you select what you want to, the version. If you're using a Mac, if you're using Windows, you just select and you click download and you go ahead with the installation process. When that is done, you can now come ahead here to your terminal to check for the version. Yeah. Okay. I think that is what we need. Okay, yeah, another thing we need now is our development tool. So we use VS Code, yeah. VS Code, we have development tool, like that's a place where you write your code. That is the home, your basically your environment, your dev environment, where you get to write your code, do everything. The other day, I think I used CodePen. That was because I was just trying to introduce the team to I was introducing the team to JavaScript. Yeah. So I didn't really want to do so much. Yeah. But today we are doing React. So I want to show you guys how it is, how you run React on your local machine, and how you just start coding things and building wonderful and nice and beautiful applications. Okay, so for VS Code, I use VS Code. There are other version controls. There are other the other ones you can use. We have VS Code. Yeah, I think what's the other one? There's VS Code. There are a couple of others you can actually like check that out, but I use VS Code most of the time. Let's check out VS Code. Yeah, so same here. You also try to download VS Code. You choose if you're using a Mac or you're using a Windows, or you just choose the exact lab. If you're using a Linux, if you're using Linux, sorry, you can just see how to install. But I use Mac. I can actually click on this thing. So if you use Windows, select this and just start your installation process. And I think um, when you're done with setting up all of this, you can now start building your web application, because these are the things that you need for you to start developing. Okay, so I think, okay, I'm just going to show what it looks like. So this is what VS Code looks like. Yeah, so it is installed and I have this already set up. Um, okay, before I continue, I'll just basic since we've been able to introduce what Node.js and we already introduced what Node.js, npm, Git, and VS Code. These are the things required for us to start developing. I'll go ahead to introduce what React is. I don't know if we can take note of this. Okay, React is an open. I think I already explained this already. So React is an open source JavaScript library that was developed by Facebook, and it is used to build beautiful user interfaces. And developers also use it to create web apps and build components, and just we do a lot more, because with React you can build web application. If you know React, you can build mobile applications, you can build a lot of things. You can build games with React. You can do a lot of things. But I'll just introduce us to it. We already know how to set things up. Now let's go to the React website. So why I'm doing this is because I want us to be familiar with these things, and we can always go back to it to read the documentation and all that. Okay, sorry. Um, React. Okay. Um, okay. It's been a while. Okay. Yeah. So this is it. Like I said, React, the library for building web and native user interface. Native user interface. When you see stuff like native like this, is we are talking about mobile. When we talk about, you see the web. So let's go ahead to learn React. So like I said, you can always go ahead to read the documentation, see how things are done, see updates, and you can see we have joined us for React conference. So there are different things the React guys are always pushing out, different updates. I think right now I think the latest version of React is like React 19. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. React 19, I guess. That was the last time I checked. But yeah, we have different versions of React. And then the team gets to update this too. And yeah, you can see it here, version 19.1. Yeah, so let's go ahead with installing that and get started with it. So this is basically what React would look like, your functions, just like I explained. And yeah, just like this, and you can see. Let's just go ahead with the installation process. Okay. Okay, create a React app. So there are two ways to create React app. You can use the normal create npx create React app. I think that is outdated. The I think the modern way of creating React application right now is using Vite. Let's do this. I don't know if yeah, let's okay, let's go to Vite. Let's use Vite. Good. Yeah. Yeah. Um okay. Vite is also a tool for building, for installing most of these things. Like it's written here, it is a it's a blazing fast front end build tool used for the next generation of web application. So let's get started with. I don't know if you guys are familiar with are aware of this. We have React, we have Vue.js, we have Angular, we have Svelte, and there are a couple of other libraries and frameworks that are used in building web application. You can decide to learn Vue tomorrow, you can decide to learn React, And these things, every library and framework has its unique features, and they are just ways to I call JavaScript the father, and I call these things just the children. Basically, they are just all these things used are built on JavaScript, and they are just tools in where we use to solve problems. So you can decide to use React, you can decide to use Vue, but today um we'll be working with React, yeah, because our class is on React. So let's go to the this is get started. Yeah, let's do this. So you get to this part where you have to install. You can decide to use npm, like I spoke about. We are using npm as a node package manager. You can decide to use yarn, but yeah, let's scrap that. We are talking about it. We I introduced us to npm rather. So let's continue with npm. So you copy this. Okay, let me check into, okay, desktop. So the desktop. Yeah, so let's now try to install this. Sorry. Yeah, npm. Okay, cool. So yeah, let's tell you if you want to proceed. Yes. Oh, sorry. Npx. So now it's now telling you to write your project name. Okay, let's use learn React. So yeah, this is the part where you get to like name your project. So like I said, we have different frameworks. You can use the vanilla JavaScript. JavaScript is you building your web application outside of any framework using normal JavaScript, just like we said, like using the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to just build. So that's what we call vanilla JS or something. Vanilla, basically, yeah. Let's now go to React, and now we are just going to work with JavaScript because we are still very new to things. Yeah. Okay. It has set that up for us. So if you come here to your folders, you would see a new flow of folders being created called Learn React. Okay, now let's do the remaining things. You can see it's saying the next thing for you to do is to check into, so CD we learn React, meaning you should check into learn React, create, like open a folder in your VS Code. You open a folder. You open this folder in your VS Code, and you now do the whole installation process. So let's do that together. Okay, shit. Let me open my window here. Okay, cool. Um, okay, let's create a new folder. Let's open this folder that we have here, desktop, and we have learn React. So yeah, so Vite has already helped us create like this structure for us. So we just have to do what it said we should do here. So now we just checked into this learn React file, and we just have to run the installation. Then we now run it. Let's do that together. Yes, you open your terminal. So VS Code has terminals um where you can run these things. So if you open your VS Code, all VS Code, irrespective of whatever laptop you use, so you can always see this terminal here. Once you click on this new terminal, yeah, let's do this. It's saying I want to carry everyone along. So remember I said npm install. Come here and give you npm install. So now we are installing everything, and you will see there are some files that will be added here as this is installing. So let's just wait for a couple of minutes. It takes a while, but let's just wait a couple of minutes for this to install. Mm, yeah. It's still installing. Um, okay, I don't know why this is taking so much time, but let's just wait a bit. It usually takes some time, so let's just wait a bit. Hmm, not modules are not installed. Let's just keep waiting a bit. Okay. Okay, while that is still running, I just let me just explain what certain things are for while that is running. So you can see here we have this vite.config.js. Um, this let's open this. Okay, Vite config is just a file or a folder that we have that is built in with creating a React project. It allows you to customize the build process and adding plugins, just like we have plugins here. We have plugins like Tailwind, we have plugins, just different sort of. We have plugins. One of those, like those things I said, we install from with using npm. Yes, so most of those things you can store them here. And for us that we are creating a very basic project, um, I don't. This is not. It's not. It's very optional for us. It's not really important. I think this is installing already. We already added our node modules. Is already adding up here. So I know this is still running. Okay. I think the next one here is readme. README gives allows us to store information about our project. Let's say after building all the things we want to build, and we just want users to have like a little overview or a little idea of what our application is about. You can do that here, and just like it is written here, it's just explaining that okay, these templates provide a minimal setup to get React working in Vite, yeah, with HRM and some ES linked rules. So just basically giving us information or giving us an idea of what is happening, like what this project is about. You can, if you build a, let's say you build a to-do list, you can decide to like write like maybe your installation process, and maybe to like explain how to use the tool or how to use go ahead with the how to just manage or use the project that you built, yeah, or the product that you built. Let's go down to package.json. Package.json contains I think I'll call it metadata. Metadata are just maybe just how you identify, how you name your project, stuff like that. Metadata, scripts and dependencies as it is done here about your project. So these are like your basic metadata. It's like we name this project learn React. It's private and it's a new version because we just started it. So if we, let's say we are creating a new version or we updated our project or updated our product, this the version can be updated here, just basically letting us know like stages at which our application is at, and the type, then script dependencies. Like these are the dependencies, like if a React project, these are we actually installed React DOM, and every other thing that we would use. The dev dependencies are like the other packages and all that we would install during our development process. I think this is done. The next, I think, okay, let me explain what this is doing. So for us to run this application, for us to see what we are building, you have to run, for you to see what you are building, you run this command. So this script is what runs what starts it this, like dev now. Dev help us to start the dev server, like to run this on our local machine and see what we have on dev. That's on development mode. We are still developing, so that's why we run this. Then build is the part where you get to couple all your applications, like you are running a build. Running a build involves us how do I explain this? Running a build involves us um um also before we push to production, that's pushing our product live, helps us to check if there are errors that we need to fix before we before we push whatever code or whatever thing we've done to production, that's the live for users to use. On also to also build, you also run build to like couple all your JavaScript into one file, just so that it can run on the server. I think as we go, as we grow here, we just understand what this is, or this what this is doing. I think I'll just stop there. Let's just continue with. Let me just run this, just like it was said here. npm run dev. Let's copy this. Just like I said, running this on our local server. Okay. Um. Oh. Okay. Yeah. So this is it. Let's copy this, and yeah, let's come here. Okay. Let's copy this. Okay. So yeah, so you can see we've installed it, and this is running here. So this is running here now. So let's go to what let's on let me explain what all this is. I think also going to explain what git ignore is. Just like I said, if you are for you to get to this level of for you to get to this level where you want to learn React, you should have some basic knowledge of Git. Git ignore files helps us to it tells Git to hide certain files. Like we have our node modules here. So node modules contains a lot of installation, all the things required, or all the things Javas, or all the things the React guys use in building this tool, that this library that we are using here. So there are some things here that are not important and we don't get to use them. So git ignore is for us to just hide this file. Yeah, so this is aiding here. And public involves is a folder that has maybe data or files that have maybe that are public, like images. You can decide to store your image, you can decide to store image, you can decide to store icon, just some basic data that you don't mind allowing the public to have access to. Okay, I'm trying to be also fast. So like now we have this asset file. Let me quickly um okay, this is the part where we ran this. So this is what we see here. So we have this app.gsx file. This app.gsx file is is the first is the first part of our web application. Oh, let me start from main.javascript. Okay, main.gsx. This is where this our web application is created on the DOM. The DOM is our document object model. So before this is rendered here, there are some things that happen behind the scene. There are some things that happen behind the scene, um those things that happen behind the scenes, and when they are done, and when you will be able to create this element in our DOM. You can see create root. We've created this application in our DOM, and when it is done creating, that is when we'll now render the app itself. Just like we have here, the app is this entire thing we see here. So for us to be able to see this here, React has been we've created this entire application. We've created a structure, or a skeletal version of this our React application in the DOM. That's behind the scene. Let me just use that. We've created the skeletal version of it behind the scene, and what we see here is just okay the final version. That okay, we've created it. This is done, and it is ready to be rendered on the server. Rendered, yeah. So that's this application that we have here. So I'll go ahead with this app.gsx. App.gsx is just everything that has been rendered into the um DOM, into the DOM that we see here, because the one happening behind the scene is the virtual DOM. The one you see here is the normal, is the DOM that we've read, that is where we, the DOM that client or the user have access to, or the what you get to see. Yeah. So you can just decide to update whatever you write here gets updated here. Let's just write let's do this. Okay, we know what H1 is. Introduction to React. So you can see that this is already added here. So whatever thing we decide to do here gets rendered here. Most of these applications, just like what you see here, they all started from here and they just get to this point. We've worked with HTML and CSS and we know how that works. So yeah, let me come back here. So just for time's sake, so I'll be very fast. Okay, CSS, we know what CSS means. We have this, okay, we have the index of CSS. This is the one that happens behind this. In the index of CSS is registered in our in the that's the first part. That's the part where we are creating this React application, where we are defining all this in the DOM. So we are registering that there. So we have all this built in. So this is the root. We just some basic things actually, but we can actually get rid of that. This is what I do when I want to start my application. I always have this just so we can start on a clean slate. You set your margin to 0, padding to 0, box box sizing, border box. Yeah, so this is just for us to have all this set. Yeah, we have our app.css. You can get rid of all of this for now. Yeah, so if we get rid of, you can see everything is now, but there's no style attached to
Hi,
it.
Hope.
Yeah.
Please, can you zoom in a bit?
Okay. Um.
Thank you.
Okay. Is this okay? Let me also zoom in my
That's
code.
okay. Then also this, yes, if you can zoom in here as well. Okay,
Cool.
still okay.
Cool.
I think
Okay.
this is fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Um,
um, just
right.
like we cleared this, there is no style attached to it, so everything is start. We are starting all this on a clean slate. Yeah. So, um, okay. Yeah. Okay, we can also try to get rid of all of this. So now I'm going to explain what JSX means. If you notice that we have app.jsx, JSX is the file structure or how you create a React file. Is the naming convention is just a way of creating, just the way we have app.css, index.html, scripts.js. Yeah. So for React, to create a React file, you have to name your React file .jsx. As we go, you understand why we do that. Yeah, so it's just for us to have that basic structure of React. So this is basically what a React application or a React um file, what a React file should actually look like. Okay, let me get rid of this. So let me get rid of this. Yeah, so if you clean up this and you run this, nothing would show. It's going to be very empty. So for you to create a React application, you start by doing import React. You can see that this is already telling you how to do that. So you can click on it or you can just write it yourself. Import React from React. Then, just like I explained, you can try to create your function app and just mm, mm, where is this? Okay, it's saying this. Okay, sorry. Okay, let's do that. Let it fix it. Quick fix. Okay. Okay, let's do this instead. So to create a React functional component very quick, you can do this RFC and it just does this here. I don't know why that was train error, but still the same thing. Let's still import React from React. And we can have our GSX inside here. You can't put your GXX, you can't put your HTML before the return. Whatever happens before the return is just you declaring anything and nothing is going. So if I decide to write H1 this year and save this, it would not be rendered because whatever runs here is this is what you're supposed to return to the server. So what this is what you're supposed to return to the server. So if you decide to write anything here, it's not going to do anything. But if you have to put your JSX or your HTML, or you have to put your HTML inside the return statement here. So if you save this, it will be rendered here. To be rendered here. Okay, I think um the next thing I will be talking about will be, I think we are cool with this. You can decide to, let's now build something. Let's write div h1 I John Doe, then it's our p tag. Uh, I am learning React JS today. Yeah. So you would see that rendered here. Okay. Um the next thing we'll be talking about is props. Yeah. Should we talk about props before states? Okay, I think we'll talk about states first before props. Okay, we'll talk about states before props. With in React, let me just have this here. States. Okay. Okay. Um. This is already telling us what it is. But state is a React component brain. So, uh, just like we have all of this here, and we wrote it here. Let's say we decide to let's say we decide to close let's say we decide to close um or let's say we want to change this name here. Basically want to change this name from John Doe to something else. Let's say we want to change this John Doe from let's say we want to change this name John Doe to something else. um let's say we want to change this John Doe to something else. We have to like store this variable. Yes, just the way just like I explained last week, how to store um your string into a variable and creating a variables and all that. So in React, for you to be able to store or create variables, yeah, you have to store that data in your state. State basically is just it's where we hold is what holds information for every component that can change over time. Yeah, I hope I explained that well. And this is how to create state. So with React, we have different hooks. We have the use state hooks. We have and these hooks are just basically used to help us build a very good help us build components, help us manage components and the structured data, just like I spoke about last week Friday. So we have React, we have hooks like use state, use effects, use memo, use ref. There are a lot of hooks, React hooks that are there. But today we'll be talking about use state. So use state is just basically used for us to store data
Hi.
and sorry.
I said hi. Sorry to interrupt you again, but for your visual code, do you mind zooming in again?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Still zooming a bit. Thanks.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, I think
Is
this
it
should be better
changing?
now. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Okay, like I was saying, use state is used to the use state hook is used to hold information about a component that can change over time. So this is how to start with your use state. You had this comma and then you define it here. Use state. Yeah, yeah, if you come here, it will say use state is declared but it is not used. Okay, it's also going to tell you state is sorry, because that's because we've not used it yet. It's defined but not used. Okay, cool. Let's define it here. So for us to use, let's say we have const name, and I'm going to explain what this is. Equals to use state John Doe. Cool. Then let me explain what this is. So like I said, the state use state is basically used to hold information. So now this the first value in your use state in this array that we have defined here, the first value here is the first value here is the variable, just like we had that variable const name equals to hope, const age equals to 30. So this the first value here is what holds the variable, is what holds the value of that particular state, while the second one is what is used to um make certain updates. Let's say we want to change the value of name. This is what we will use to change update this value, this key name, this variable here that was used to store this value here. So if we want to change the value of John Doe, we have to use this. So this is used to update this state. Yeah, but so for us to use this, sorry, for us to use this, yeah, we need to render it just like it is showing this error here. That name is declared and it is declared, but its value is not read. So if you come here and you want to use this, you can just come here and just do name. If we save this, you would see this rendered here. If we decide to add James here, this will be updated here. So we've stored anywhere you decide to use name, this value will be rendered there. Just like when we declared when we decide to set name, use let name, or we do stuff like let age equal 30. Cool. So now you've not this is declared but it's not used. So with React, you can do this, but the right way to do it in React, so you can always make reference to it and you can perform certain changes there, is by declaring it using the use state hook. Yeah. And then this is used to perform make events like making changes to this, just like I said. So let's say um want to change the value of this on click of a button. So now let's have a button here. This already gives us everything. Okay. So now let's update this value here. Philip. Yeah. So we have this button here, and we have this button here, and this is what would use to make the event call. So let me save this. We have this button here, it's called change name. So now remember we stored this name here as John Doe James, and now we want to update this name on click of a button. So this button is performing an action, and just like we say, want to update the state of name, want to change the value of name, we have to call this second value here, that's this key name here, set name, and we'll now pass the value we want to update there. Just like we have function, remember, if you guys can remember what I spoke about last week about functions, and um how you pass values to a function, and when you call it, it gets updated based off of how you what you are trying to do, or what action you are trying to perform within that function. I don't know if you guys remember that. So now let's try to do this. On click of this name, would change the value of this name that was declared here. If you click, so I clicked on this and it's changed this value to name. If I refresh here, with the state is not, the state will go back to its original state. If you click on this, it will change here. I'm doing this again. If you refresh here, it takes us to the original state. And if you click on this, it updates it. That's because we are changing the value, or we are changing the, yeah, we are changing the value of that name state that is here. Do you guys understand that? Yeah. So I think we are good with that. The next thing I'll be talking about now is we can do other things like let's work with incrementing a number. Let's say um count. Count is actually very set count equals to use state. Yeah, 0. Okay, we're also going to work with, let's work with a Boolean value. Remember we spoke about, remember when we were talking, when what I spoke about last week regarding data type like strings, number, Boolean, and the like. So let's work with this. Const. Um, okay, this is giving us an example. Okay, well, let me comment this out first. So, let me have another button. um, increment 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 count. So now there are two ways for us to make perform an action. So either you do it this way, where you do it inline, or you have a function outside. So now I want to do this with a function outside. On click, you have this, and you pass this, and you do increment. No, increment. Okay, what value? What name will I call it? Um, undo increment. So that's the name of our function. So now we'll have this here, const increment is equal to this. Then we'll now call this set count here, and then we'll now pass the value of this count here. So if we want to do count plus 1, yeah, sorry, yeah, okay. Now let's check, set the value. Let's put this here. Mm, okay, yeah, let's do this. Okay, let me have this here. Let's quick. Sorry. Um. Okay. Let's just work with this first. Okay. Um. So we have this. So remember we said if you click on this, we update this. So now let's increment the value of this. So on click of this. Um, um, okay. Hold on. So I didn't call this. Okay. What's going on? Hold on. Sorry, my laptop is keys. Okay. So let's do this. Okay. Can you guys? Okay, cool. So what happened now is that now you remember what I when I spoke about functions last week. I said if you don't call it, if you don't invoke it, it will not run. So what happened previously was that I did not invoke it. Yeah, when I did, it now showed that native function. Let me remove this and just have this. So yeah, so now we have this because that function is running. Let me comment this and show you and do this. Console the log. Let's not use console. Let me use sorry. Let me use alert so we can all see it. Alert incrementing count here. So let me refresh this. So are you seeing that it's saying that, oh, this button, we just when we clicked on it there was an action and okay, it works, it's working, and we can now, this button is actually working, and this is with this handle increment is actually working, and we are seeing the value of this. But for us to make this, for us to for us to increment this value, we have to, just like we had here, so when we call it here, we updated the string immediately. But here you have to call this set count because this is the value we are trying to get, the value here. And we just do this. Let me no, let me do this. Let's do this. Count. Yeah, yeah, we get the value here, count, and we do count plus one. Let me do this. Let me take this out. Hold on. Yeah, so now we are getting this value here, this count value here, and we are incrementing it because we are trying to get this value. We'll first of all we get this value that was, we get the value that we had already. So you know the initial value was actually zero. This is the initial state, and we get that initial state and we increment it straight up. So when you click on this, you now increment. On click of it, we are adding a new value to it. If we decide to do multiply, just like we spoke about when we were talking about logical operators, and you know we were talking about arithmetic operators here. That's true. Yeah. So let's see, just like that, just like that. If you notice that state did not change and we are updating, but if you come here, 0 times 0 will be 0. But if we come here and we set this value to 3 and save, yeah, we are now incrementing it. So now we are updating this particular state with this. So these are the two ways to do that. Okay, I think I would just, what I'll do is I'll create a file, a file called state, no, learn state, learn state dot gsx. See, and I'll copy and paste this there. Okay, so I can share this with you guys after. Okay, okay, I think we are good with that. Let's now go ahead to do the if login. Let's do this too. So now the next one we'll be doing now is this one, working with boolean value. So now we have a boolean value called if logged in, and logged in is set to false. Now let's update this value. Let's update this value, this state here. Let's set it to true. So now let's have, now what we'll do now is let's um update um login state. Then come here, set is logged in. And then so now if you notice that the value of this is set to false, what we'll do is we'll negate that value based off of what we spoke about last week. We are negating this. So remember, let's have this here. We have this value here is logged in. Yeah. Okay. Let's refresh. No, we don't need this here. Yes, yeah. Okay. Let me put this here. Okay. 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 Yeah. Okay. Cool. So if the value, okay, let me comment this out so we can see it clearly. Okay, now let me remove this. So now with this button here shows login. So if we are logged in, it will show. If we are logged in, the value will be true. If we are logged out, the value. Sorry, let me comment all of this too. Let me comment all of this too, because they are not. Yeah. If the value of is logged in is true, like if we've now it is on initial render is set to false. If we want to now negate it just like we did here, on click of it we negate that value. So like we use the ternary operator just like I taught you guys last week. When we use the ternary operator here, so this is now conditionally rendered. So now is logged in here is set to false. If it is false, if it is true, it will be logged out. The text will be logged out. If it is false, it will be logged in. So right now on initial render, we are setting this value to false. So now that's why we have this button as logged in. But if we click on it, the value will be changed to true. So now when we click on it, the value is now logged out. On click of it again, it becomes login. The reason why this can we can go to and fro is because we are negating this value. If we set this to just simply true, what we'll do is that when you refresh, it's comma, but you cannot do anything. You can one on click of it would always be true. Do you get? But if we come here and we negate it, that means we are always going to we are updating it. That means we are toggling it. So when you click, this is set to false. When you click on it, it becomes true. On click of it again, we are negating the value of that updated value to the new one. So now we are updating this, we are negating the value. When we decide to use true, we are only setting the value to just one thing, which is true. Okay, I think that's that. Let me just copy this and paste it here. So the next thing I would be talking about, now I think we understand what states means. I think, yeah, I've copied that there. We're talking about props. We're talking about props. Okay, let me just remove all of this and have props. Okay. Let me just still get rid of this. And yeah, okay. Okay, each one learn props. Okay. Okay, cool. So props is short form of properties, and they are ways to pass data between parent and child components. Parent and child components are like, so I need to explain what components mean so that you understand what it is before we start learning how to pass data between components. So components are building blocks in such a way whereby let's say just like we have here, I had this div, I had this, and let's say I want to, or let me use this as an example. I have a web application, or let me use npm for example. We have this entire web page here, and if you notice that, okay, this let's use this particular hero section. We have this hero section, and inside of this hero section we have this text. we have this one too, and we have this, and we have this, and we have the buttons here. So now, how do we build this? So building this and compiling all of H1, compiling the P tag, compiling every other tag and the button into one, and can be reused. Let's say we have five of this kind of hero section. So build components are building blocks whereby they can be reused in different parts of your web application. So let's say we will have to create this as a component, and we'll now reuse it in five different places. So the fastest way, instead of you now having to code this or build this particular section, then you come again and build again and update the text, build the third one, build the fourth one. That takes a lot of time, but that's where React come into place, because it's a component based architecture. That's component based architecture whereby you build things in with components, and you now structure them, and you can be used across your web application. Let me say we're going to the themes page. The themes page has this hero section. Will you start building all of this in your themes page? No. But if you have this as a component, it can be used within your web application. I don't know if I'm clear on that. Okay. Yeah, so that's what components means. And now that's what components means. And now, let's say we are to build this particular hero section in five different places. But in the five different places, the text, like this header text here, is different in all of them. Are we going to this H1 text, this particular text here is different. This one is build amazing things. Let's say the next one is build beautiful things. The next one is build wonderful things. Are you going to start building four, five different components because this particular text here is different in the three of them? No, you can have one component, and we have props, and we now pass props to the number of times you are going to use that particular component. I'm going to explain that to you. So that's how to use props. Props are properties, are ways of us passing data inside of a component, and can be passed down from parent to child. So now, building this initially would be the parent component, but the number of times you will have to call that particular component and pass that data, those no, sorry, I don't want to mix things up. Okay, building this would be the child component. Then the places that you would actually have to call these things would be the parents. Then for you to now pass the particular data into them, that means you're passing data from the parent. That is where you call this component, and you're passing the data into it. That is passing the data into this particular component, and that will be the child component. That's, I don't know, it's a lot to take in right now, but let me just build something. Let's create a component folder. Components. Yeah. And then let's have a card component here. A card component, card.gsx rfc. We have card, and inside of our card we have h1. We have, okay, let's build this. Okay, build things. Let's have our p tag that will have this. Let's copy this, and let's have another p tag that has this. Okay, let's have this. Cool. And let me just create one button. Sign up for free. Okay, now let's say, okay, cool, I think we now have all of this, and now we want to use this in our parent. So the parent, this is a component, and want to use it in our main application, which is inside here. So now you can see that this is a component. Let's say we want to call card. Let's call card here. Card. and we import it. For you to use it, you just have to import it first. Import card from component slash card dot, yeah, this is not used, you're not using this. Oh, let me just, so now if you see, let me take this out. Build amazing things. So now this is the child component and this is the parent component. The parent component is where we are using, where we are rendering where we are rendering the components that we created, while the child would be have to be the component itself. So um now we have this, let's say we now have five of this. Are you seeing that we have five of this? Now, in a situation whereby this the second time we have build beautiful things, the next one is build wonderful things, the third one is build, let's just work with three for now. Okay, so now how do we update this value? Now, how do we now change this particular text? The best way to do that is by using it as a prop. So we have to now create a prop. I don't know if you guys remember when I spoke about destructuring and all that. So now let's create this variable. Let's say let um first card be equal to amazing. Okay, let's use this. Build amazing things. Let second card be equal to build beautiful things. Yeah. Let second card. Sorry, I said second again. Let third card be equal to build awesome things. Okay, cool. Now we are working with these three cards. Now we want to make sure that the three times we are going to call this particular component, we want this header text to be different in the three of them. And the best way to do that is by passing this as a prop. And how do we update this particular value? Because this is it. What we'll do is we'll now have to call a prop, and this is how to call a prop. You put parentheses and um you pass the value here. So let's say we are expecting name, like okay, let's name it title. Now we come here and we do this here. You pass it here as title. Yeah. So now in all the instances where you are calling this card component, you now have to pass title there. So if you see that it came in by itself, it's already shown that, oh, we are expecting a value called title. Then you pass this first card. Come again here. Let's do this. Second card, third card. Are you seeing that the three of them are now different? Now we don't necessarily have to start creating a new card for beautiful things. We don't have to start creating a new card for awesome things. So we can use one particular card and you can modify it as many times as you want. Decide to change if you decide to change this description, decide to change the button text, it's up to you to do that. And you can still use you don't necessarily have to use this particular one. You don't necessarily have to use um you don't necessarily have to use a particular prop once. You can use it as many times as you want. Let's say sign up for, let's use this, let's do let's say we want to use this title here. Let's put the title here. Title. So you can use it as many times as you want. So if you do that, where did we do it here? We did it here. Build amazing things. So you can be used across board. Wherever you decide to call this card component, you would have that, and you can pass in whatever title, whatever prop you need to pass there. I think we are good on that. We'll build something else after. So now I'm going to talk about styles now. So that we can make this look beautiful, make it better. Okay, for styles in React, we are three different ways. There are actually like four, but I think today I'll be talking about three different ways to style with React. So let's use here. So in React, we have the inline style, we have the external CSS file, and we have using the style um using styling with styled components, and you can use frameworks. So I think I've talked about the four already. So the first one is the inline style, the second one is the external style using an external CSS file, and the third one is using a styled component. I don't know if we'll be able to touch that tonight. And the fourth one is using frameworks like Tailwind, Bootstrap. Yeah, I'm sure we are familiar with that already. But let me just explain how to. I think I will be touching the first two. The first one will be inline style. So using inline style is by styling inline. We already did HTML and CSS, so we did inline style there. So just like this, and we pass in our value, color, red. Let's test this. So you can see that we set the inline style for this. Let's say we use text. This is font size. Yeah, font size would be 18 pixel. So if we come here, this is updated. So we can style this using this. Then the second one, like I said, is using external CSS file. Remember we add this where we have to clear out this. So using external CSS file, if you come to our app.j, let me take this out. We're not using this. So if you come to our app.jsx file, sorry, our app, sorry, we have the okay. If you come to our app.jsx file, we have to import the app.css file. So let's import this. Sorry, import this. So now let's say we want to style this our p tag. Let's have our p tag. So using our external css, using our external css is by us using a defined css file, just like we have our index.css file. You can create, maybe you are building a card, you can create like a card.css file. Just make sure that when you create that, you import it inside of that particular component. So let's work with, let me create a card.css file. So in that card.css file, let's say I want to have my card. Mm, let's say I want to have my card to be width. Let's use 200 pixel. Background color aqua, like even that. Color white. And okay, let's use this border. Then let's now style our p tag there. So this will target all the p tag. Let's use this. No, let's use 14 pixel medium. Yeah, yeah. Text align center. So now so this is us defining our creating our CSS class outside of all of this. So now let me save this and come here and let's go to card. Then you import it here. Import card. Just like we did here. Sorry. Card.css. sorry, the route. Mm, okay. I didn't div class class name card. So this color is not nice. Let's use black. Let's have for every card margin bottom 40 pixel 600. Okay. Ash CCC. Then okay, cool. The styles can be better, but let's work with this for now. Okay. Yeah. Remember with this, let me take this out so it looks cool. So now you can see that we now style this um outside of the component itself. We styled this outside of the component itself. So the first one I did was doing the inline styling. The second one that I used an external styling file. So that's way to style with that. Then the third one is using something called styled components. Yeah. So if you come here, let's use a quick example with styled components. Yeah. So just like I said, remember um I said you can use npm to install that. Let's go to npm and search for styled components. Yeah. So remember I said we had to install um npm. So for us to now this is how we'll now use this. For us to now have access to styled components, we just come here, we copy this and we put it in our terminal and we install it. So this is us using npm to install this package and use it. So there are different ways to use that. So this is just because of time, I'm just going to just explain it from here. So when you install it, this is just basically how you copy this here and then we can use it here and just and you know what? Let me just install it. Let me install it. To copy it, let me copy this and install it here. So we are using npm. Npm is already installed. If npm is not installed from your setup process, you will not be able to install this. So because now I've installed it, for you to check if I've installed it, you go to your package.json and you see styled components there. So now let's let's style this. Let's create. I think I like using okay, we can do this. Let's use background color. Okay, let's import styled. Import styled from styled components here. And then style.button, you can now pass your padding. Yes, it's 10 pixel, 20 pixel. Um, border radius, border radius. This is 4 pixel. Big background color. Let's use blue. Mm, okay, let's use blue. So now, this is another way to style. You now styled from here using styled components. So now, let's copy this. Yeah, and have button, sign up for free. Let's let's come back here. Mm, let's let me name it something else. Color white. on. Mm, let me do. Let me use start. I usually name it start button. Let's see. Okay. The color is applying. The border is applying. Wondering why the background color. Let's check. Let's check again. Yeah, did this. Oh, sorry. I think I know why. Yeah. Background red. This is 12 pixels to see. Yes, applying black. Oh, I know why. Right. Let's remove this. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, cool. So you can see we just styled. Let me bring this down. We just styled this using styled components. So now the first one, like I said, this is the inline style. The second one is by creating an external CSS file. The third one is by using styled components. Yeah. And the fourth one is by using frameworks like Tailwind and Bootstrap. I think you can always check the Tailwind documentation. Yeah, so if you go to their docs, you can see the installation process using Vite. I don't know if we should do that now. Okay, let's just do that because of time. We can install this. Yeah, let's check package.json. Can't find it. Okay, yeah, we have Tailwind installed, and you can see from it there. If we check let's check our global styles component. That's Obvious CSS. So now let's import this. Yeah, and then let's check our config. Remember I said this is where we remember I said this is where we had our plugin. So let's add this plugin there and then update this to have Tailwind CSS. I think now we can go ahead to use that. Let me check that. You can use BG. Um, okay, cool. So we've been able. I don't know if you guys got it. I installed Tailwind using the from the documentation. I added it into the plugins, like I said. I added it into my inside my app.css file here, just so that it can be used globally. And now let's try to work with this. You can decide to make color. No, we're using Tailwind. Now let's do um BG red. No, let's not use red. It's going to be too colorful. Let's use text FM. So this with Tailwind has defined classes. So if you go to Tailwind documentation, if you go there, you would see. Let's go to their docs. So from here, you can see different how to use it. You can use their texts, their font size, font weight, just like that. Let's use this fonts. Let's use fonts bold, and let's use what else? Let's use something else, something else, something else. Let's use something else. Okay, this is us just playing with things. I just want you to see how. So it's also similar to inline, but now it's not inline style. It's not inline class using external using a framework called Tailwind. Now I think I saved this already, and now let's check this out. So now if you see, now this is bolder and the text is, let's make this text, sorry, let's make this text for Excel. So for when you want to now know the actual size, so it's just going to tell you that text for Excel is 36 pixel. So now let's save this, refresh. mm, I don't know, let's do this, 80 pixel. This is something very big. What's going on? Okay, yeah. Yeah, so because we already defined in our in our card.css, we already have our p tag as this. So for you to make this work, because we already have p tag, and that's targeting all the p tags inside of card, we can just set this as important here. And now, oh shit, that's a lot. Let's use 2XL. So you can see that this is now bigger, and every other p tag that we have here is using the font size 14 pixel. Okay, and now our card now has 2 pixels here, 2XL, and that's like how many? That's 24 pixel. Yeah. So now we have a particular card. We have a particular card that we've passed props. I explained what state is doing, and now I've explained what our style, how to style your React application your inline style using your inline style, external CSS file, using styled components, and now we use a framework called Tailwind. Oh, because of time, I think I'll be stopping here, and maybe I can give you guys an assignment for you guys to build a reusable button, a reusable card that would contain image. And first of all, let me just write it here. So assignment would be one, build a reusable card component using styled component. Using Let me comment this out. Yeah. Then you build number two. You build another one using Tailwind. Styling, styling with no, styled with Tailwind, and then the next one would be with an external CSS file, and then um, now the third one. Okay, this is the third one. The fourth one would be to build a no, this next one will be to build a card component using, and okay, and the component, okay, the component should have images, have have an image, an image, button, text, yeah, um the components should the card components should have an image, button, and text. This card component okay should be used in four different instances um with the images passed as props. Yeah. So I think we'll do the same. Let me just copy this as props. Yeah. Yeah. Now, okay. I think I'll be stopping here for now. I'll be sharing this with Amaka so she can share it with the team. I will also attach the NPM toolkit I used. That's NPM Git, Node, styled component, okay, VS Code. We use okay Vit guide just so you can read the documentation, and then styled components. Yeah. So if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. And I think I would stop here for now, and I'm open to questions. Hello?
Okay, hi, Hope. I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay. This is Can we have the assignment on Discord? Sure. The assignment will be dropped on Discord as well. So, guys, if you have any question, please go ahead to drop your questions. Okay. So, okay. I think this is one from earlier on.
Okay. Oh, you're welcome, Desire. Okay, okay. What is the URL of the site to get the node? Okay, I already attached it into the VS Code. I think I can also send that. I'll just attach. Let me just send this to. I would send this to Amaka. Amaka would share that with you guys. Amaka, did you get that?
Yes, yes, I did. Sure.
Yeah.
So once I get it, I'll share it with you guys. I think those are all the questions, and this particular.
Thank you,
Uh,
Emmanuel.
okay, so I think these are all. So that's all for tonight. So, guys, if you want to reach out to Hope, her LinkedIn profile is there, so you can do what to follow her on LinkedIn as well. And like she said, she would answer your questions if you have any. So that'll be all for tonight. Your assignment will be dropped on the Discord server. Um, have a lovely day, afternoon, or night. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye. Have a
Yeah,
lovely evening.
yeah. Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.